We live in a twilight world. Let's do a quick recording. So the images you're seeing here, yeah, this is Santorini, a little Greek island. And maybe you're aware, maybe you're not aware, but there's currently a state of emergency going on this little Greek island, also called Thera. That's its other name, its original name. And yeah, man, I've just got back. I spent about a week there. The reason of the state of emergency is because of earthquakes. Yeah, and not only are there talks of earthquakes, but also the other things that come along with the earthquakes, like tsunamis, and of course Santorini itself being close to or part of a volcano. So yeah, man, I reckon if you're in America, you probably haven't heard about it, because I think all people in America right now are hearing about is Donald Trump. They're just hanging on every word by Donald Trump. But if you're in Europe, I'm pretty sure you've heard of the crisis going on in Santorini. But yeah, man, I've been there for about a week, and I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I'm going to do a whole separate little, probably make up a little documentary or something about, you know, my findings and my experience. Yeah, man, it's great. I've got to tick earthquakes off the list, off the bucket list. I can now add earthquakes to my resume. And I had a jolly good old time. As you know, as you've probably worked out by now, I exploit these situations, and I just use it as a chance to have an amazing holiday in a part of the Matrix where no one is, where all of the background characters have vanished. And it's a bit like walking through a liminal space, a bit like walking through the back rooms. I love these lockdowns. And yeah, man, I had a great time. But yeah, I'll talk about that another time. I only landed this morning. So today's Saturday. Yeah, man, my flight landed this morning. So I'm still a bit tired. Not really in the mood to, you know, look through all of the images I've got and put together a documentary right now. But maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it later in the week. That's the main thing I want to talk about in this video, is time, you know, and the horrors of time, the nightmare of time. I'm in no rush to get this documentary out anymore, or sorry, get my content out quickly anymore. I don't give a fuck about the time period. There was a phase in my the beginnings of my work, where I was trying to get stuff out as quick as possible. I don't know, I guess to have a bigger impact, because if you're kind of deleting the fiction out of reality as it happens, more people are giving it their attention and you're kind of shutting it down. None of that shit really bothers me anymore. I might even do this documentary, I don't know, in a month's time or something. I'm in no rush. I'm not going to be a hostage to time. The god Kronos, the god of time, has no power over me. I don't give a fuck about this TikTok fucking clock time business. Yeah, I'm going to do things when I'm good and ready. So I've got intentions to do this documentary tomorrow, but I might not do it. So anyway, a lot of people are asking like where I am and what I've been up to. This is it. Like, I've been taking my time and not really doing much. I did catch that mad flu that was going around in the UK. They were calling it the quaddemic or something like that, and it was basically a fever, a flu, a tummy bug, and a chest infection all in one. And I didn't really have it much in the stomach. I think like I had it in the stomach for like one day. But yeah, man, it was a very crazy flu that hung around for about 2 weeks with splitting headaches. It was the kind of flu / fever you'd get as a kid. Yeah, I haven't had a fever or flu like that since being a kid, which is and a lot of people have said this. And but yeah, man, that took me out for the best part of three weeks really. And then once I recovered, I thought, you know what, man, I'm going to get back into training hard down the gym. I've never really stopped training, but you know, on the scale of like how hard I train, for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been giving it about, I don't know, 40%. And so, yeah, man, I was back down the gym. You know, the thing about these flus and these fevers and the amount of time you spend just in a shit mood, just lying in. You can't really do anything, right? You can't go out because you feel so much like shit. You don't really want to go out. It's not nice being out and about when you've got a pounding headache and a runny nose and you're coughing your guts up. But then again, doing the polar opposite of going out, lying in your bedroom with all the lights turned off, doesn't really help, doesn't do anything for your splitting headache. So you're kind of like being held hostage by this little flu, right? But it gives you time to think. Where you're not rushing around doing stuff, you've got time to really think and reflect. And once you get out the other side of these kind of harsh flus, harsh fevers and that, you kind of have a new appreciation for what it's like just to be normal and healthy. Honestly, man, when you get through them 2-3 weeks and you just have your first day of feeling normal, you kind of like, you want to drop to your knees and kind of like look up to the sky and say thank you to the gods that you've returned to normal, because I think we don't really appreciate this, right? Like, I've got a new respect for anyone that claims to have, or sorry, that does, not claims to, that implies perhaps misinterpreting it, but does have what they call a migraine or suffers from regular migraines, because I was having these headaches that I can only describe as splitting. They were splitting headaches, and it was all on one side as well. It felt like someone had pushed a metal nail, like a 4-inch nail, through the top of my head, clipping my optic nerve. The pain was in my eye, and then going down to my teeth. And it was weird because I wake up in the morning, every morning during this fever flu, and I think, yeah, man, I feel pretty good. It's finally over. And then after about 2 or 3 hours of being awake, this headache would slowly creep up. And then, yeah, man, like I said, pain through and it's on the right hand side of my head, pain through the brain, through the optic nerve, through the eye, and then into the teeth. And then towards the end, it kind of went over to my ear, and I had pains in my ears, and I had a blocked ear, and I was deaf in one ear for about a week as well. So yeah, man, it's strange. The headache was in one side of my brain. So I know there's a lot of mad theories that were going around in January. People were talking about a fog and a nano fog. They were claiming that this mad fog that was floating around contained nanoparticles that's giving everyone this mad flu. Now, I don't know about that. Yes, no, maybe. I didn't really give much thought to it, I think the human body has to go through these things. It's all about building up your immune system and so on. I do think it's atmospheric, changes in the temperature and air pressure, and we tend to get the cold during the colder seasons, right? And I've heard people laugh at the concept that a cold, as in cold and flu, is brought on by cold weather. But I can tell you, man, like back in my construction worker days, yeah, when I'd be like working at the top of a skyscraper in London, where there's no windows or anything, and it's just this freezing cold air blasting through non-stop, and you're breathing in dust and shit, and you can feel your throat getting dry. That seemed to trigger a cold/flu. There's also the concept of the word flu being similar to like a chimney flue, and that just like you have to clean out a chimney flue every so often, our human bodily flue chimney, our windpipes have to be cleared out, maybe. I don't know. So it's one of them topics, after the scamdemic, it's such a boring topic that you just kind of don't want to go over. Let me just have a sip of my coffee here. Wet the whistle. Now, where were we? Yeah, man, these images here, Santorini, wow, what a beautiful place, huh? I'm not going to go too heavy on the... well, maybe I will go very heavy on the woo-woo side of things regarding these earthquakes and whatnot, but I don't really want to burn my bridges with Greece too much, because I can see myself in the future at some point living on one of these Greek islands. I think they are perfect for me and the kind of lifestyle I want to live. Not that I'm not grateful for where I live now, and I'm kind of got a lot of things going on in regards to sunshine, and beaches and that where I live, not too far from Devon, not too far from Cornwall here in the UK, I think if I was going to elevate it up a little bit, it would be one of these Greek islands. So yeah. But, you know, I don't want to piss off the Greek authorities too much, you know, like I have done with, say, the Ukrainian authorities, you know. But yeah. But back to the concept of time, you know, the nightmare that is time, the horrors of time. Man, that January that just went felt like one of the longest Januaries of all time. It just felt like it was never going to end. I think we were quite lucky with Christmas in that we just kind of blitzed through Christmas. You know, it was like Christmas didn't even register. You know, I'm not really the biggest fan of Christmas. I think it's quite gross, the concept of you know, materialism and putting this idea into children's heads that if you play by the rules, you're going to get rewarded materially and all this kind of stuff. And if you come from like a broken home, which I know some of you do, and like myself, yeah, you come from poverty and all that kind of shit, Christmas is the worst because all that's being projected out into the world, over here in the West anyway, is happy families and money, right? You see things like Home Alone, you know, the film Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin. You know, the guy's living in a giant house and he's got a huge family and it's all love, love, family, family. Every film that comes out is about love, love, family, family, and people getting what they want and their presents and that. Like, if you come from a broken home or you're extremely poor, this is not very nice for you to see because it makes you look at your own life and think, wow, I haven't got any of that shit. So, yeah, not great for some people. But anyway, Christmas, we flew through it. And then January, man, yeah, the never-ending January. But thank fuck we got through it. I'm glad that illness, that flu fever thing came then in January because there's nothing going on. Me going over there to Santorini, Greece just now, that kind of killed, you know, a week in February. I think for me, once we get to April, we're all good and the sun starts coming out a bit more regular. Down here in the southwest of the UK, yeah, man, summer starts around April and then that's it, man. Spend my life down at the beach. But just to be clear, I think I might have said at the beginning of this video that I've just landed. Yeah, I mean, I've landed back in the UK. Yeah, so I was in Greece last week. I arrived in Greece last Tuesday. Yeah. The state of emergency began on the 2nd of February and is lasting for a month. I got to Greece on the 11th. Just in case anyone's watching this well into the future. Yeah. And it worked out perfectly because I was there for the biggest earthquakes that have been recorded throughout the month. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away. I want to save all that for the documentary. But yeah, man, it worked out quite good. But talking about that, you know, the general theme of this video is the horrors of time, the nightmare that is time, the god Kronos and the problem he's creating with time, you know, this measurement of time that we all have to kind of like live by that causes us all a lot of problems. I've noticed that a lot of my videos, after the first, say, like, it gets around 300, 400 views, and then slowly it starts trickling up. Yeah? Not that I'm one of these people that keeps going and checking the views, but, yeah, I've noticed that videos are slowly trickling up, which is a good thing. It means people are not rushing to see my videos. Yeah? They're watching my videos in their own time, which I think is a good thing. I think, yeah, we have to get over this. Well, it feels like, you know, the way the double cross system works in regards to world stage theatre and all this bullshit they want us to participate in. They're using time as a factor, right? And that's how they've trapped a lot of these people over on things like Twitter and Instagram, especially the conspiracy theory crowd, that they have to kind of rush out and talk about a thing as soon as possible to be relevant, because they're in the game. A lot of these, I hate to say this, but a lot of these truther types, these conspiracy types, they're not really actually have any interest in truth whatsoever or making the world a better place. It's just an area they find themselves in, but ultimately all they care about is being popular, making money, and they want to try and be right. So that's kind of very egotistical things, right? Yeah, it's not really about seeking the truth or making the world a better place. This is egotistical stuff. Now, what tends to happen, and what I've noticed, and this is where like the double cross system is very good, it likes to humiliate people, because a story will come out in the world stage theatre, and they'll sort of release the story as like an initial storyline, and then everyone runs and makes their opinions and weighs in like they're the kind of guy that knows what's really. I'm the guy that knows the truth. I know what's really happening. And then what you notice is a week or two later, that storyline, a fuller video will come out, more information will come out, which ultimately makes the first lot that went running in trying to be all I know what's going on, they end up looking like clowns. And then there's like a second wave of people that kind of stood back and let the first wave go in and make clowns of themselves, and then they do that whole thing going, well, yeah, I knew there was more to, and it's all of this, I knew there was more to the story and what was going on. It's all of what this thing that we call in the UK one-upmanship. Everyone online is trying to one-up everyone else, be better than everyone else. And in a bid to be better, that includes them trying to make other people look less than them. And I can't be bothered with any of that shit. That's why Twitter, all that kind of shit, horrible place, because it's all about that. And so yeah, like I was saying, it's good that people are not rushing to see my videos. I'm not rushing to put stuff out. This is a good, healthy way, I think, to be when it comes to time and how you spend your time. Because time is a funny old thing. Like, nobody really knows what time is. It's just a 4-letter word we use to describe, the sun rises in the morning and it sets in the evening. Most of us go to sleep when it's dark. Yeah, we call it a day, and then we like to divide that day up into units. And then, that all began in the Victorian times, right? When they got people working into factories. That's when time really kicked in. That's when they started building clock towers in the middle of town centres, in the middle of a village, right? So you could get up and go and work your stupid, horrible, very poor condition job in a factory, right? And then within your working at a factory, every so often you'd have to change what station you were working at, right? And that's why they divided the day up into units of time. I mean, there was even like apparently a guy who was paid to like walk around and tap on people's windows with a stick to wake them up for their factory job. Now, of course, that factory job, that comes under the first industrial revolution, and now we're in the fourth industrial revolution. And as I keep saying, the fourth industrial revolution, yeah, the new factory work or a new office job is now getting you to be online and creating content in some way, shape or form. And I don't want to be a part of that whatsoever. And people that are new here might be saying, yeah, but Les, you're creating content. My theme has always been to make people understand a very simplistic way of looking at this world in regard to illusion, what I call illusion warfare. Yeah, illusion being weaponized against us, or illusion being used in a hostile way to manipulate and influence us into partaking in that illusion, blah, blah, blah. I'm highlighting that so people can sort of see that and go, yeah, get off the internet, go and live a good life. Go and live in a place like this in Santorini where you're in the sunshine all day long. Anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. I know when I've rambled long enough because I keep going and all the time, which means I'm running out of things to say. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well, because we live in a twilight world and there are no friends at dusk.